Hello everybody, this is Guineith speaking here. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! I'm here, I'm having my Christmas lunch. That's pretty yummy. That's pretty good. And here we got Princess. Princess is here. Hello, Princess. You gonna say hi? Christmas lunch. That's pretty good. I got a food parcel from the local community house, Christmas hamper. So thank you very much, the people at the local community house. You made my Christmas merrier. I wanted to make this video. There's a number of people, especially in the Christian community, who debate whether Jesus was really born on December the 25th. So I thought I'd, just for a bit of Christmas banter while having my Christmas lunch. Throw in my 2 cents worth. Okay. Because this has to do with farming. Oh my gosh, that sunlight's pretty bright. It's hot here. It's the middle of summer. Australian Christmas. It's actually not too hot today. We've got a southerly wind blowing. And because we live not too far from the Southern Ocean, it's a bit of a cool breeze. But if we didn't have this cool breeze blowing, the temperature would probably be somewhere between 30 and 40 degrees centigrade at the moment. That's somewhere in the low hundreds Fahrenheit. That's pretty warm. And there's no green grass anywhere, unless it's some sort of a spring or something like that. And I'm squinting because the light from the sun is just so bright. There we go. This is what Australian Christmases are like. It's hot and it's dry. You put 6 months into the past, we would have green grass here. Although we've had a drought, there would be enough rain to get some grass happening. And we had grass here, green grass, up until around about October. And this goes to educating the rest of the world what the Mediterranean climate is like. Okay? Your dead time of the year in a Mediterranean climate is not not winter, it's summer. Winter is the time of year when everything comes to life in a Mediterranean climate. That's when green grass grows. That's when you can grow vegetables, although tomatoes and zucchinis and things that are, don't like frost can be a bit of a problem. That's when grass grows, and being a sheep farmer, I try to time my lambs to be born around about the beginning of May, because that's when we get green grass. Okay, that is autumn, mid-autumn. So we have got, the lambs might be born anywhere from beginning of May to the end of July. So if you put that 6 months difference, you would be having in the Holy Land lambs getting born from around about the beginning of November to the end of January. That would be your ideal lambing time in the Holy Land. There's people try and point out, who generally don't live in Mediterranean climates, by the way, try and point out, oh, well, the shepherds wouldn't have been out in their fields at night outside in Bethlehem in mid-December because winter cold, winter, no grass. Yeah, you are thinking of living in a non-Mediterranean, in a temperate climate, when winter is the dead time. That's not what it's like in a Mediterranean climate. In a Mediterranean climate, winter is when everything comes to life. Okay. So that is when you are going to have your sheep under supervision out in the pastures at night, especially if you've got lambing ewes and you don't want to be moving them around too much because it can be bad for them. You don't want to be moving them backwards and forwards too much. You either want to have them penned, 24/7, or you want to have them out in the pasture under supervision 24/7. And that means having somebody with the sheep at all times in the pasture during lambing time. Unless if you're in a climate, if you're in a part of the world where you might get jackals and, maybe the occasional leopard or cheetah, they still have leopards living in that part of the world. They still have jackals living in Israel. In some valleys they still have things like jackals. Is Peachy Poo. Peaches. Did you find it? I dropped a bit of cake down there earlier. She probably found it. But that is when you have the sheep out in the pasture all the time because of lambing and because of the winters are mild, they're green. You want to have the sheep eating as much as possible to put the condition on, and also, because of milk, that you want them to have a good milk supply. They're one of the main milk animals in that part of the world. So, yeah, you want to have the sheep out in the pasture in the middle of winter in Israel because that's when the green grass grows there. It's a Mediterranean climate. The middle of winter is prime grass growth time. And around here, certainly, around Israel, yeah, certainly. And Jeff Lawton lives within sight. He can just see on the horizon the city of Jerusalem. So he lives not very far from Bethlehem. Go to any of his videos on his YouTube channel, Discover Permaculture with Jeff Lawton. That's hashtag Discover or at Discover Permaculture, I think. And you'll see he traces the annual cycles in that part of the world. Green is midwinter. That is when you want your lambs to be born. Actually any time from autumn to the very end of winter. You don't have your lambs born in the spring. Spring is too late. Your lambs are still going to be very young when flies are just trying to get to the food. I'll have to be quick here. Your lambs are still going to be quite young when the grass starts to die and go away, get eaten, and all the rest of it. So that's just how it is. So I believe that Jesus probably was born on the 25th of December. and the Hare Krishna people. And Krishna, I believe that Krishna was actually Jesus. I believe that, you know. Some people out there in the Christian community will probably call me a heretic, but the very word Christos comes from the ancient Sanskrit word. It comes from the Greek word Christos, comes from the Greek word Christos, and the Greek word Christos comes from the Sanskrit word, what is it? Krishna or Krishna. And the Hare Krishna people for thousands of years have always held that Krishna's birthday, the Christ's birthday, in other words, is December the 25th. And they have that date, as far as I can figure out, more or less independently from anything to do with Christianity. They have a huge celebration all through India. They celebrate the birth of Krishna. And the word Krishna is literally where we get the word Christ from, via the Greek. Because remember that the Greeks invaded India, and that's where they actually got the one of the places, and Persia, that's where they got the prophecy of the Christ child from. It was from the Persians, and it was from the Indians. And the name that the Indians had for the Christ child was Krishna. God bless you all. I'll see you later.